At first, I'd like to welcome you to Simply Jewel, a typical podcast where we are atypical of the average. And tonight, everyone, our special guest is Darla, who is the film director for Courageous Warriors, Beauty from the Ashes. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm the producer director of Courageous Warriors, Beauty from the Ashes documentary.
Yes, and we just would like to welcome you and for you to share your story and basically asked a few questions. The most important thing that we're doing tonight is getting and bringing awareness to the concert event that you're having on July 21st. So, what I'd like to do at this point is turn it over to you, and let's just first talk about um, why you made the film, and then we'll talk about how it came to be a documentary and the reason for the concert. So, starting off, go ahead. Why did you make the film?
Well, first of all, it's always was going to be a documentary. So it was planned that from the very beginning. But my mother had breast cancer and she passed away 17 years ago. And after I had been her caregiver for one of her bouts with the cancer, the very first one, many years later, I ended up being a caregiver for my best friend for a very short time period. And then I started meeting some people in regards to a short film project about a young woman who basically ended up in a job that she was fitting someone of her own age in her 20s for a mastectomy bra. And as a result of that short film that I made, I met these incredible women that worked at this shop here in Denver called Treviz. They've all since closed the shop and retired. But in the course of spending time with those ladies, they told me about all these remarkable women who had started these programs as a result of their breast cancer experience. And I had this idea that I needed to tell their story. And so I started 3 years ago making the documentary. We interviewed over 100 people total. And then we decided, 90 minutes is about as long as you can go for a documentary, but we have so much that we want to be able to share with others that we've created a website and a resource page, and the documentary features various non-profit organizations and or programs that have been created by survivors, breast cancer survivors. And many of those, one of those is Hope Held by a Horse, which is an equine therapy group. There's another P Ink, is personal ink, where people utilize body art with the tattoos to cover their scars. There's another group organization called COPE, and that's an educational program that was created and being taught at the University of Denver now at the graduate level, so that they get more experience with a on-site clinic, if you will, where they get hands-on practice, and they are increasing the knowledge base of those going into psychology in regards to how do you help individuals that have gone through breast cancer and the caregivers and the immediate family. Because as we know, mental health in our country and even around the world is something that is very lacking in support of. So our documentary features all these people. After we did the 100 interviews, we have 22 people that are actually in the film. And it's basically their journey of how before, during, and after, and even why they were in the midst of their own journey, they had the wherewithal to create these amazing programs to help others. And that's what the documentary is about.
Very nice. Now, were they all with the same cancer, or were they
It's all
all in
breast.
different stages?
It's all breast cancer. It's all breast cancer, but everybody has different breast cancers. Some have
Correct.
multiple breast cancer types in 2 different breasts. I mean, it's all over the place. We have people that are were diagnosed in their early 20s, 22, 21 kind of thing. We have people that have been survivors for 41 years. We have people that are 5 years out surviving. We have their caregivers featured in the documentary, because people make the assumption that, well, it's just breast cancer, it's no big deal. But until that bomb goes off in your life or your loved one's life, you just don't know where to turn for help. And our documentary features different programs, nurse navigators, how to go about getting help. And it's really beautifully told through these individuals, through their caregivers, as well as they themselves sharing their story. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what is the beauty from the ashes that came out of that experience for them.
Oh, wonderful. So that's a good title that it explains it. So you have the website Courage, Courageous Warriors,
Hello?
Beauty. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I was
That's
just
okay.
saying, so you have the Courageous Warriors, beautyfromtheashes.com. You also have a resource page. And can anyone be added to this page if they're able to assist with cancer?
Yes, and that's one of the things that we've been discussing, because as a result of the film, while the backdrop of the film is breast cancer, it basically helps those going through any cancer diagnosis. It helps them to have certain types of questions that they would not know to ask. They would not know to ask for a nurse navigator or an advocate. We talk about alternative treatments and things like that. So if it is something where people are specifically dealing with breast cancer or in aid of breast cancer, yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Well, that's a beautiful thing.
Expand
So
their help to others. And so, like, I have a friend, for example, who was recently diagnosed with 2 different types of bladder cancer. And because of my knowledge that I've gained through making the film, I was kind of able to help him kind of facilitate who he needed to call and ask questions of. So we're
okay.
realizing that the film is helping more people, and we don't even have the film out yet because we've submitted it to festivals, and there's a cost associated with all that for the marketing, and that's why this concert is being given on July 21st.
Well, that's a beautiful thing to be able to help those who need the resource, who are in disarray or have developed mental disorders because they don't know which way to go. So that's a beautiful thing. So out of these
Absolutely.
200, thank you. So out of these 200 people,
No, it was 100
how,
people, 100 interviews.
oh, okay, so that's the next question. How do you determine whose stories you would tell in this documentary?
Well, I had to narrow it down to which organizations I thought brought the most to the table for individuals. That was one avenue. And then the other part of it is sometimes you line up 10 people and they all say the same thing, but who says it best? Who has the most impact with their story? Which one is more impactful, more inspiring? Maybe the person is more articulate than another. Maybe one person is really, they have a difficult time sharing their story. And you want to make sure that, because everybody's important, even those that aren't on camera in the film, they help formulate what direction we were going to go by sharing their stories. And
Wow.
sure, you hear the same thing over and over, but I was shocked at some of the things and outrageous things that these women and men, because men can get breast cancer, experience from the medical community. and like they just come out and blatantly say, well, you have breast cancer, and the person's spouse or partner is sitting out in the waiting room. Why did you not bring them in? You talk about cancer 24/7, but this is the first time these individuals are hearing these words, and they're shell shocked, and they don't have anybody with them. That's, in my book, that's kind of appalling. And that's some of the things that
Yeah.
they talk
You
about in the film.
right, okay. Because, but the thing is, because of HIPAA, people can elect to get their results individually, but I
Yeah, but these
always felt
people did not. Yeah, these people did not. They had their spouses had brought them there for a reason, so they could be with them. And then instead of bringing the spouse in to talk about the details, they dropped the bomb on them by themselves, or they just called them over the phone and said it. Now they don't know
right.
what else was going on in a person's life. And this film is not about, it is not about bashing the medical community. There's all good about the medical community in here, but these women and men tell their stories. And you can't tell them, well, you can't change what you're saying, because then you're altering their experience.
Well, of course. I mean, and I'm not sure how much we have just recently met, but if you do your research about Simply Jewel, you'll find that's what I do. I work with people who fail to thrive and also give resources and help them naturally and give them alternatives. So that is a good thing that we are somewhat able to relate and be relatable
Absolutely. Yes.
uh, to help those who fail to thrive. And I know that I always refer people to my website because I'm working with helping to gain or generate the funds needed for Dr. Green's Cancer Research Foundation, who found a way to shrink cancer cells.
Right.
And
Right.
so,
And I know you had somebody on talking about the CBD, and we have a couple people in our film that their cancer came back several times, but yet they used essential oils and CBD, and the use of CBD, pure CBD. Now we've made the CBD to show on camera how these people made it themselves, and it's pure, and they don't sell it or anything. They just made it for themselves. And that person has been cancer free for 7 years now.
see, and that's what we're all talking about. For
Right.
those that have an ear to hear, for those that want to gain knowledge on all the other alternatives, we're now in a place where we can come together and bring awareness on so many different levels, and also to help many of the masses, because
Absolutely.
it's time to bring awareness or be the group or the people who have a solution to a I guess I want to call it, to the point where we want to literally eradicate cancer, get rid
Right.
of it
And
completely.
our film is about showing alternative options, what other people did, what helped them to feel like they wanted to create something to help others go down this journey, to how they found new paths to wholeness, basically. And so,
Exactly.
body, mind, and spirit, all of those things. And so in the course of making this film, we learned a great deal. But other people, they just need to know that this film, it will empower them regardless of what they're going through, not just breast cancer, but any cancer diagnosis, any medical diagnosis, any devastating, life altering event that makes them
Wonderful.
feel unvalidated, that like they haven't been validated or haven't been heard. This film will inspire people and encourage them to look for other sources. And that's why we've built a website for the film, and we have a resource page. And I try to check people out in their organizations before we add them on there. Now, we're not, we're not medical people. We're not anything we're just trying to help people have a place to go and look for information that they did not otherwise know existed.
Well, that's beautiful. So that's what we have to do, everybody. So what Darla is talking about is a documentary. They're going to have a concert on July 21st. And this concert literally will raise money. I think the tickets are $50, but if you're not able to go, pay it forward. Someone that really wants to be there, and they can, are you going to be able to, so you're raising money via concert for
Yes,
the
here's what's going.
documentary, and
Yeah, here's
do
what's
we have an
happening.
air date?
No. Because here's what happens. Most people don't understand. As an independent filmmaker, we're not Hollywood. We don't have big budgets. We pinch and scratch and claw to make these kinds of projects available for people. But then we go through the route of submitting to film festivals. Well, that's very expensive. But it is a form of marketing for us. That's a way for people to find out about the film, distributors, those kinds of things, so that we know. I can't screen it publicly because then you're disqualified. Distributors don't want you to put it online because if somebody's going to pick up the film and broadcast it at a bigger level, they want to make sure that they get the most bang for their buck by putting it out there. So what we're
Uh-huh.
doing, a lot of people do these GoFundMe campaigns, and that's fine. But my friends who wrote this title song for the film, Girls Like Me, which we did a music video to that song in 2019. That song has been released. It's available on iTunes and Spotify and Apple and all of those places. We won lots of awards with that music video. And so they came to me, Tim and Turi, who wrote the song. They have a band, Premium Diesel, and they said, we'd like to do a concert to benefit, as opposed to asking people to give $50 or whatever on a GoFundMe campaign where they don't generally get anything. They just give money. We'd like to have a concert and have people come. They can meet the people that are the head of these organizations. They can meet some of the survivors and caregivers that are in the film. And, they may connect with somebody that can help somebody else they know, kind of thing. And so they offered to do the concert, which is just quite, it's a huge blessing. And I was able to get a reduced rate at a VFW facility that has a very large venue for us. So that's really nice. So they're going to do the concert. It's $50. There will be appetizers. There will be a cash bar there. And then there will be some giveaways. We have some health packages. We have some custom jewelry that's been given to me. Those things, people that come will be entered into a drawing, and somebody will win those items. And then we have the shield that if you go to the Courageous Warriors Beauty from the Ashes.com website, you will see that the artwork there for the poster, it has a big shield that was made in a fire. So that shield is being auctioned off that night. And so that's a one of a kind. It was made specifically for the film. And, we're going to have a good time. People are going to dance, kind of network, meet people that have been down that journey, meet these organizations, and get information so that we can share it out with other people.
That's really nice. We've got to get people, now that, everybody's still suggests that we respect others, wearing our mask and taking precautions, but I think there's a need to get people out and bring awareness to something like this. And it sounds like it'll be a fun time. I do have it down. It says that the door opens at 5:30 p.m. It will be in the VFW post 9644. That's
Correct.
off of Hamden, and is that Hamden and Sheridan? What's the cross street?
No, it's Hamden and Federal, actually.
Okay.
It's in the city of Sheridan. It's that little piece that they consider Sheridan, but it's right off of Hamden, which is 285. A lot of people know where Mullen High School is. It's not very far from there. It's on the north side of Hampton.
Okay, we're wonderful. Okay, people, so you've heard it here. We are supporting, and you're invited to donate, go out, meet the cast, meet the people, the
Right,
artists who are the song girls like me.
right.
Like I said, check out the music video and
Yes, and
decide.
tickets are only available on the event page through the website. So we won't be handling any money at the door or anything like that. So, uh, you know, that way it makes it go much quicker. People just show up. They don't actually get physical tickets. It goes through PayPal on the website. So they will get their own receipt and they just show up at the door and we just check them off the list.
Okay, so we're going to add the ticket info in the description box. And hopefully, you will get some people to who have an ear to hear to support what's going on Wednesday, July 21st from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. $50 entry. I'll add the ticket info in the description box. And then we will keep um, spreading the news. And so, in closing, I know we all have stuff going on this week, and I want to talk about, your plans for the film. And
Sure.
um, the last thing would also be, let me see, how can I explain it? Um, from from the Ashes documentary, um, what do you think is the best part of making this documentary?
Hmm. Well, I can tell you that for me personally, having been a caregiver um, for my mom and for then my best friend at the time, um, I realized in making the documentary, hearing these people over and over would tell their stories, that I too had experienced that caregiver portion. And we don't do a very good job of reaching out to the caregivers. It doesn't negate that the individual diagnosed is,
Mm-hmm.
what they're going through, but everybody's going through something. And what I take away from this is that if we help one person, we did our job. Well, our film hasn't even been released yet. And I've already helped 5 people find their ways, through either myself or one of the other caregivers or somebody else that was diagnosed that is in the movie. Um, because it was so overwhelming. We did a private screening for the cast. We had a couple media people there to see it, a couple medical people, and they said, "Look, we learned stuff from your film that having, I've had cancer 3 times," this one person said, "and I learned stuff in your film that I never heard or never was offered to me from
Right,
anybody
right.
in the medical community." So I feel like even if we get a little bit of information out there and we can help grow these organizations, which is really key of what we're trying to do, like the equine therapy group. They want to expand. They want to open chapters in Kansas and in Nashville and Texas and different things so that more people can be helped each year through the equine therapy, because it is very healing to people. It really heals their soul. The experience, I've watched it. I can't tell you that I understand it. I'm like, you pair up a person with a horse, and actually the horse pairs themselves up to the individual. It's quite remarkable to watch. And so when you see how these women and men leave after they've gone through the program, they are completely changed. And
Well, that's beautiful.
so I have a person that is a medical doctor who was diagnosed 15 years ago. And she had written me a really lovely note after she saw the screening, and she's in the film. She shares her story. And she said, after 15 years, I realized watching your film that I still had unanswered issues within myself that I realized I had not dealt with. And because of seeing your film, I now know how to approach that.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. So we'll be able to, that's a good reason to partner and bring awareness, because
Absolutely.
everybody has a different way of helping to heal. Some people can assist just by knowing, just by having the same energy and nature, which is why I
Right.
incorporate nature with what I do. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just important to come together and bring awareness. And then, like I said, I'm on the opposite end of speaking life into a situation and getting to the point where we no longer have to find all these, different resources, but to literally utilize our service in assisting once we find a way to shrink cancer cells, because
Absolutely.
it affects the masses. So there's no religion, there's no race, there's no creed. It's ugly, that we all can agree on. And so, with
Yes.
that being said, that's a beautiful thing. I'm glad to hear that. And the plan for the film. So once you generate enough capital to move forward, then what? What is just to get it to the
Well,
theaters?
that's the thing. Will it go into the theaters? I hope it will, but it depends on what the distributor thinks and where we can reach masses. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay, and we're back. So we'll finish up the last part of talking about the concert, but I also want to ask, like, what are your plans for the film,
Right.
and where do you want to go from here?
Yeah. So basically, the plans for the film is to get it out there to the masses in whichever way is possible, whether it's through mass theatrical distribution or partial distribution in theaters and then streaming platforms. But once it's makes it to that point, which it could be 6 months before that happens, it could be even longer. It just depends. But the plan is, once we have that out there, once it's been released publicly, even if it's just a small release, we are going to join forces with various organizations across the country to have screenings to benefit those organizations, so that we can help those nonprofits who are helping people.
Very nice. And then I'm noticing there was one, especially on the website, that stood out and said validation. Lori Allred, writer, producer. Is everyone still living where they can also speak on post once you, after the concert, or will all of the survivors be there?
Maybe not all of them, but quite a few of them will be there. Lori Allred is not a survivor. She's a producer, director. She's someone, a writer. She's someone in the industry that I really respect greatly. And she and another friend of mine, who is a producer, executive producer for PBS, and they came to the screening. They told me what they thought about the film. She had gone through a life experience with her husband. At the point had fallen and hit his head and ended up with a traumatic brain injury. So her point of view was, it doesn't matter what your diagnosis is, this film will speak to you. It brings healing to people. It brings validation when you're sitting there with this diagnosis or a problem and nobody's listening. And so it actually resonates with people from various, points of view. And so yeah, I thought that was a great, I felt that, but I had never shared that with anybody. So the fact that she got that out of the film and other people also have spoken about that, then I am happy that we've done our job, and we want to share it with more people. It's a process. It's a long process when you make a film, because it took me 3 years to put the film together because I wanted it to be right. But additionally, we have a lot of footage and interviews that we want to hopefully in some capacity turn that into a docu-series, so that other organizations or programs, we can actually bring those to the masses. And whether or not a distributor decides to go along that journey with us or not, we have quite a bit of stuff we can still share with people. And more people are contacting us, saying, hey, would you let people know about our program? And so ultimately, that's what our goal is to continue helping people by kicking it off with the film, but also making it available for nonprofits to, get their supporters to see the film and have a different understanding perhaps than what they currently have.
Perfect. Well, I think it's a good thing, and it's a well-deserved platform to bring awareness to those who need the resources, and if you don't need them, maybe you know someone who does. And
that's exactly it right there.
Yes, and visit the website Courageous Warriors Beauty from the Ashes.com, and this is the platform where you can find out about events, you can get in contact with people, you can see videos, read the news, there's testimonials, and don't forget the resources. So if anybody is available Wednesday, July 21st from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. here in Sheridan, Colorado, go to the VFW Post 9644, and this is where the concert will be held. Not only that, we want to encourage you all to go to the website and check the description box. If you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, you can always come to simplyjewel.com, and I have my contact information where I can at least transfer to Darla, and we can go from there, or shoot me an email, shoot me a text. And is there anything else, Darla, that you'd like to tell the audience before we sign off?
I would really like for people to understand that, we're filmmakers, and we raise awareness through our films. So everything that people give us, we are able to use. It's marketing money. It costs $100 many cases or more to submit to film festivals, and then you have to do the marketing. There's travel associated with that, because they don't want to have your film in the festival if you're not going to show up. But you go there and you network with distributors and other individuals, and that's how you end up landing your film being distributed at different platforms or in the theater. So it's a long arduous process, and so everything that we get from the concert goes to help us push the film out there. And that people need to go to the website. They can't just show up at the door, because that's one of the COVID kind of things, is you try to limit activity and handing off monies and all that kind of stuff at the door, and it just makes it easier for us so that we can actually be everyone there is available then to talk to people, as opposed to having to worry about the money taking things at the door. They can just check them off and let them in. So they must buy their tickets on the website. at the event page.
Okay. And that makes sense because they've bought tickets many a day online, and all you have to do is have the barcode or show that you bought your ticket through your phone. And this day and age, I think everybody has a cell phone.
Right.
So
Well, and
please,
that's the whole thing. We get a list. We get a list because it goes through PayPal, and I get a list, and we have a list, and all they have to do is tell us their name. If their name is on the list, it's not a problem. If for some reason they say, oh, my name's not on the list, but I bought a ticket, I can verify it in about less than 30 seconds by looking it up.
yeah,
So it's
exactly. Exactly. So I see that
we
it
just want
goes
people
through.
to come out, and we want them, people to get informed. They want to have a good night, meeting the people, enjoying Premium Diesel and Tim and Turi and their band. They will not be disappointed, I promise you. These guys put on a great show. It's country westernish music, but with a pop side to it, flair. So they're quite remarkable. Turi herself is a breast cancer survivor, so it's really awesome that she's offered to do this for us.
That's really nice. Well, I'm glad, and like I said, I'm really glad that we're those of us that have like minds are trying to figure out ways to bring awareness to this awful disease. And no matter what, it's time to bring awareness, come together, and whatever we need to help get this documentary out. And there's so much more work that needs to be done, but it's got to start somewhere. And as long as we continue to communicate and talk about it,
absolutely.
Sure.
I hear of a new person being diagnosed daily.
Oh yeah, the statistics are growing daily, and
Right.
so that we definitely need to do our part and continue to pass out resources and help people until we come up with a way to eradicate this awful disease.
Right.
So,
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me on to talk about it, and thank you for what you do, because what you do is so important. That's why we feature those kinds of people that are helping others within the body of our film, and to help promote them on our resource page. So, we would love to be able to include you on our resource page.
well, that would be great. And I would like to help out as much as I can. I work around the clock. So if you have anyone who is in need of that kind of support at this time, I do work with all who fail to thrive or all who would like to make healthy choices. But just know I work around the clock, and you're always welcome to send them my way, simplyjewel.com, until we get, connected where everything is well. And I just want to thank you again, Darla, for coming on, and thank you for sharing your story and being so supportive of those who are in need of so much help. And that's a beautiful thing. And I always say it's a gift. You can't learn to have that kind of heart. It's either innate, or you've been around someone that infiltrated their love and allowed you to spread your love to all in need. So thank you so much for coming on. And I'd like to say good night to all of the Simply Julians. And if you would like to become a Simply Julian, you're welcome anytime. You can shoot me an email or visit any of my social platforms. And as we say, until next we wrap, you are listening to Simply Jewel, a typical podcast. Thank you, Darla. We'll talk
Thank
soon.
you. All right. Take care. God bless.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.